Welcome back to the Sidebar. I'm Dylan and this is James, and we are here with Anu Khan. She is Deputy Director of Science and Innovation at Carbon180. We're really excited to have her. So Anu, do we have the policies that we need in order to accelerate climate action? We've been hearing a lot about that on the main stage today. What are we doing to make sure that we have the right enabling factors in place?
I love that question so much. And first and foremost, thank you for having me and excited to join. So for those of you who might not know, Carbon180 is a US federal policy organization focused exclusively on carbon removal. And so I think a lot about the enabling policies that we need to have the carbon management ecosystem that the IPCC, that the scientific consensus tells us we need. And I think in the US in the last couple of years, we've done a lot of work to get there. We have the Infrastructure Act, we have the Inflation Reduction Act, we have a lot of these pieces that are coming into play, and of course the CHIPS and Science Act as well. So you have these three big federal policies that are bringing to bear quite a bit of funding to accelerate the innovation ecosystem for climate. And there's still a lot more we need to do. We are in the early days of translating research into deployment, and there's going to be a lot of learning that comes with that. And then we need to keep iterating, keep building on that learning in order to get to large-scale commercial deployment of the size of other industries and other commodities. So I think we're on the right trajectory, but now we really have to ask ourselves, how do we sustain this? How do we get from the big infusion that we had with the Inflation Reduction Act to markets that work, regulations that are persistent over decades? Because this is not a, let's get everything done between now and 2030. This is work that needs to continue through 2050, 2070, and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. To shift from the policy to the technology, right? You mentioned deploying, right?
Yep.
Deploying at scale. I mean, what for you is the most exciting, ready to deploy technology right now in carbon capture?
Yeah, so in the carbon removal space, there's a lot of excitement around direct air capture right now. So the Department of Energy just announced the first round of awards for the Regional Direct Air Capture Hubs program, which is, the US government saying, we're going to make this happen. We're going to help build this. We're going to provide support. And it's not just the two big hubs that have been announced. There's this range of different sizes of projects that's helping smaller scale developers, communities start to become familiar with this technology so that we can kind of build up to large scale deployment. So I get really excited about that. That's, we're putting steel in the ground. We're starting to build what this future is going to look like. A lot more to do, but we're definitely on that road.
So direct air capture is kind of a snapshot of the now. When you look into the future of carbon removal, what's the vision? What's the sort of, we just heard from a speaker on the main stage who wanted to understand, what does the promised land look like for carbon removal?
Oh, I love that question. I think what it looks like is deployment that respects the needs of communities, that meets our global climate justice goals, that respects how much the global north has emitted and our responsibility to clean up those emissions, but does so in a way where projects are inherently local. They have to be built with the consent of communities. They have to be built with support. They have to be built in ways that benefit communities. So for me, the promised land, it's deploying a portfolio of solutions that gets us to gigaton scale carbon removal globally, but doing it in a way that communities feel really enthusiastic about, that creates good jobs, that creates economic opportunities, that generates co-benefits through biodiversity, agriculture, all sorts of things. So that's the dream.
Oh, I love that.
And I think we're on the path.
That's incredible. So we've only got about 30 seconds left. So if in 30 seconds you had my mom here, and my mom has never heard of carbon removal before, I'm not giving her enough credit, but let's just say, how would you very briefly just describe it to the uninitiated?
Absolutely. So I think most folks know that we have put a lot of CO2 into the atmosphere. We have burned carbon, we put it in the atmosphere. Carbon removal is anything we do intentionally to take it back out. It is the only way to take it back out, and we have to take it back out.
I love that. And I hope my mom is actually tuned in so that she can get the benefit of that extremely clear definition. We have been so excited to have Anu Khan here from Carbon180. Thank you so much for joining us, Anu.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for coming to Sidebar.